Hi everyone, Miss Elsa here. I'm here today to talk to you about something called radical acceptance. Now, what does that mean? So radical acceptance is for those times where something horrible has happened, or there's a situation where you don't like what's happened, but you have tried to problem solve it and you can't change it. And also you can't change how you feel about it either. So this is something that you then have a decision that you can either keep fighting against, or you can decide that actually you have to accept it. But what does that mean, acceptance? Acceptance means seeing things for how they are. It doesn't mean that you like them. It doesn't mean that you give up. It doesn't mean that you give in. It's about understanding that X, Y, Z happened, and now we're in a situation whereby this is what it is. So you might find yourself, if you're fighting against a situation, you might find yourself going over and over and over things like, this is not fair, this shouldn't happen to me. Maybe you're stuck in a cycle of blaming somebody else for something that's happened. Acknowledging it and accepting it doesn't mean that you like it. It doesn't mean that you give up. It doesn't mean that you give in. It means that you're just literally seeing things for how they are. It also means that you stop throwing tantrums and you stop fighting against that reality. It's about acknowledging and recognizing and enduring that pain. So often what happens when we fight against a reality is that we get stuck in a cycle of really negative emotions like shame or anger or bitterness, whereas actually they're secondary emotions. So they're the ones that are on the outside. So by accepting the reality of the situation, it makes you be able to feel actually how you really feel about that situation. For example, if you have a netball tournament at the weekend and in practice you twist your ankle, now you can keep playing on that ankle, you can keep trying to play on that ankle, but actually it's going to make things worse, the pain's going to be worse, and the injury is going to take longer to heal. Whereas actually if you accept that, this has happened, I'm not going to get what I want, I'm not going to be able to play at the weekend, you will then, instead of maybe getting yourself into a situation where you're either blaming yourself, you're being quite nasty to yourself, you can actually just sit and feel the pain of and the sadness of not being able to play. And that's about letting those emotions wash over you. This is not about suppressing the pain. This is about acknowledging that it's there and dealing with it and dealing with how it is. Pain is inevitable in life. There will always be things that you don't like. There's always going to be situations that you don't want to happen. So that pain is completely inevitable. That's always going to happen, but suffering isn't. So suffering is when you fight against the reality and you make things worse. So how can you do radical acceptance? So first of all, you need to acknowledge that there's something that you're fighting against. So for example, you might hear yourself saying things like, it shouldn't be this way, this is not fair. If I wasn't so stupid, then I would never have blah, blah, whatever. That's an observation that you're fighting reality. Then what I want you to do is to remind yourself that reality is as it is. All right, it's just what it is. That's just how it is. Think about what caused it as well. Like, think about, not in an emotional blaming kind of way, just, okay, so these are the things that happened up to this point, and this is how we're at where we're at. That will help you kind of put things into perspective, and also think about next time, like if you're in a kind of similar situation again, you might not want to do the same thing again. You can't change the past, but you can change the future, so you can adapt your behavior in the future. Think about opposite action. So opposite action is where you think about, if I had accepted this situation, how would I be behaving right now that would show that I'd accepted this situation, and then go do that. So for example, if you take the person who's twisted their ankle and isn't going to play at the weekend, then if they'd accepted that situation, what they would be doing is they'd have their foot elevated and getting some medical attention for it. Similar kind of thing happens with emotional problems as well. You need to emotionally attend to stuff. I want you to think about as well, if you think about the things that you need to accept, So if you just sit for a moment and you think about the things that you need to accept right now in your life, I want you to feel in your body what emotion arises from that. So you might feel sadness, you might feel grief, you might feel some other kind of negative emotion depending on what's going on. Allow that emotion to wash over you as you think about accepting the situation, because this is how you truly feel about it. And like I said, you know, pain is inevitable, but suffering isn't. So allowing yourself to grieve, allowing yourself to be sad, allowing yourself to go through that process is really valuable and will really help you accept what's happened. You can also think about coping ahead with problems as well. So you can think about what problems do I foresee if I accept this situation, and how will I deal with them at the time. That'll help you with forward planning, and it will help you not get into a situation whereby you're kind of stuck. And then finally, another thing that you can do is you can do like pros and cons exercise as well. So really think about what is the pros of hanging on to this ill feeling, hanging on to this fight against reality. What are the pros of letting it go and accepting reality for what it is? Again, you can do the cons. What are the cons? What do I lose? What are the disadvantages from fighting against reality? What are the disadvantages of accepting reality? And that's it really. So if you have something that you feel like you need to accept but haven't quite figured out how, or would like some extra help, just give us a call or give us an email at counsellor@gis.edu.bn. Okay, take care. Bye.